Good afternoon and welcome to Tech Tuesday. This week we are taking a look at the web tool Kahoot and how you can use that for the different forms of assessment. So we'll just get everyone logged in and we'll get started.
Today we will explore the web program Kahoot, and we're going to take a look at how you can use this for different types of assessment in your classroom. So if you're new to Kahoot, you're going to come to getkahoot.com, and the first time you're here, you'll need to come up where it says sign up for free. And as an educator, you will create an account and go ahead and log in. As a student, you do not need to create an account. You again will be participating with a PIN code that will be generated. So I'm going to come over here to sign in, as I already have an account. And once you come inside, you're going to land here on what we call your dashboard. So up along the top, you'll notice in the toolbar here, there's some options for you. The first one is a new Kahoot. So if you would like to build a new quiz or survey, that's where you'll come. Beside that is My Kahoots. That's your library of stored Kahoots. Next to that is Public Kahoots. So there are a variety of Kahoots that other teachers have made and have made public and shared with you. So you have the ability to go and take some pre-made Kahoots. You'll notice that when you first come in here to the pre-made Kahoots, you can either search here by a subject, or if you know a particular user, you could search by their username. You can choose what type of audience you're looking for. And for us, we usually come into where it says school. And if you're looking for a particular type of Kahoot. So they separate them into three categories. So your quiz Kahoot is going to be a multiple choice questions that have a correct answer. Whereas the discussion or survey Kahoot are more about polling your class and not necessarily for discussion. So discussion would be without any points or kind of game feature to it, whereas the survey still, you could attach that or gamification to it and attach that in. You can also just go ahead and scroll. You'll see there's a variety of topics. And again, these Kahoots are coming from all over the world. So you would need to really want to vet what's in here as far as content to make sure it's appropriate for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and explore what one of these Kahoots look like so that you can kind of see it. You'll notice in the little box here, it's going to identify for you whether it's a quiz or just a survey. And from my experience, the students really love the quiz feature and really get excited about it. You'll also notice over here to the right that you have three choices to either play, favorite, or share. So by pressing play, that's going to launch a session and generate a code for you to give your students to come in and join the game. And I'll walk you through how you do that. You can favorite it, which means it's going to store it on your main dashboard page as something that you're interested in and really like. And share means that you can actually share that to other users or other teachers that you think might be interested in that particular Kahoot. And you'll see these same features in the Kahoots you create as well, the ability to do those things. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on this Chinese New Year one so you can see. So basically it gives a description here that it's about questions about Chinese New Year. They've put some tags here to make it searchable. And here you can launch play right from here, or you can preview it. So often if this is a Kahoot I've never used before, I like to go ahead and preview it. So I'm going to hit that so we can explore what the content in this Kahoot is. And it's going to preview it just like the students would see it, which is really great. So what they have done is split the screen here. So to the right, you see a phone that we're going to pretend we're in student view. And to the left, we're going to be able to see what teacher view is. So it gives you a few options here on the menu to get started. So the first one here is to display the game pin throughout. So when it generates this code for us to enter, we can leave that on, which is helpful if, for whatever reason, students lose the game, or they get bumped out of the game, or they come in late, you'll have that pin accessible so they can jump back in again. You can choose to have instructions minimized on the screen. I usually take those off for myself. And then you have the choice. Do you want the questions to go in the same order that you created, or would you like the program just to randomize that? And the same with the multiple choice answers. Do you want them to be in the order you put them in, or randomize how they appear each time? And then the last one is to play music while you're waiting. So that will be a personal decision about whether you like that. But again, I can tell you that the students really love that feature because it does make it very game show-like. So I'm going to go ahead and say launch. And the first thing it does is it tells you to get your devices out and get ready. And then it's going to generate that pin. So this is the Kahoot music. So I'm just going to go ahead and lower that so you can hear me a little clearer. So right now it's waiting for people to come in and join the game. So you'll notice to the left right here, there's no players in yet. And it's also generated that pin code. So I'm going to come over here to the student side and enter that code so you can see what that will look like. And say enter. And as I do that, it's going to ask the students for their nickname. So again, either just their first names or initials, or launching that. Now, I noticed Kahoot has put a filter in, so if students put in a known inappropriate word, it will block it. So, but again, you want to have that conversation with your students about what is appropriate to go there. And once I say that, you'll notice my name pops up right here. So as the students all enter, their nicknames here will all pop up. And you'll also notice it has a little warning there that if a student does put in something that a teacher feels inappropriate, that we can click it and kick them out of the game. So it's handy to know how many players are in when you know how many students are in your room. And once they're all in, you can go ahead and hit start. And it's going to go ahead and generate the questions. And each question, if you are playing in the quiz feature, is worth 1,000 points. So the students will get up to 1,000 points, and they get points for having the correct answer, but also for how fast they answer. So you'll notice that the question remains on the teacher side, and then on the student side, they only have the corresponding multiple choice choices here. And you'll notice that our timer here is counting down, and we can adjust that in the Kahoot to make that as much time as we like. So I'm just going to pretend that I'm a student. I'm going to go ahead and make a choice. And right away it tells me I'm correct and how many points I have and what place I'm in. And the students really, really enjoy that feature. And again, if you are just starting with the Kahoot, if you're worried that how your students might respond to that, I often like to put them in small groups the first time we play this so that they're a little bit anonymous and they can go ahead and play together as a small group. So you notice it's, if I had more students in here, it would actually graph how many are choosing what answer. So as a teacher, that's really helpful right on the spot for me to get that kind of assessment feedback to know where my students are thinking around a particular topic. So I'm going to go ahead and advance to the next question. And the first thing it's going to do is come up with a scoreboard. So if there was more players in here, it would rank us and give us our score. And again, you'll find the students really enjoy that kind of friendly competition piece. And again, it's going to launch the question and then give me the choices. And again, I can choose just a random one. And it's going to come up here. So the first thing you're going to notice is on the student view here to the right, it never shows them the question. It only gives them the multiple choice features. So that's really useful in the sense of students are playing on a smaller device like a phone because they don't need to be able to see too much on there other than the 4 choices. But it does mean that you're going to need to in some way project the teacher view. And that can either be done through any type of projector or smartboard or anything like that, that the students can have a vision and see. So again, we can go ahead and advance throughout the questions. In this particular Kahoot, You'll notice that there's 10 questions in total. And as student answers come in, you'll notice here. So if I have 20 students in and I see that there are 20 answers, I don't have to wait for this timer to exhaust itself. I can just go ahead and say skip and work the way through the answers. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue through here. And again, you can see how they have imported pictures to go along with their Kahoots, and you can as well import pictures or video to support your questions. And again, you have up to 4 choices, but you also can minimize that to 2 choices, depending on what you'd like your Kahoot to look like. And again, this is just allowing me as the teacher to preview a pre-made Kahoot and decide if I like those questions and content. So I'm going to go ahead back to the main screen just so you can see that. If you don't feel like going through that process of the preview and actually playing like the student, you also can just scroll down and it's going to list the questions in order here. And it'll tell you the person who created this Kahoot is assigned X amount of seconds, and you can adjust that per question for the students to respond and how many choices there are. I also can click where it says show answers, and you'll notice here that it comes up with what the multiple choices are and the correct one. So as the educator, I can preview that. I'll just come back up. You'll also notice there's just some statistics along here. How many questions there are, how many people have played, etc. How many people have favorited this one. And again, you have your share feature here. If you wanted to send that out, you can even just copy and paste that link if you have another educator that you think might be interested in that. So I'm going to go just back to that main screen where we searched here. So what you're going to notice right beside here, if you just hover over the title, you're going to notice that there's an option here to duplicate. And if I choose to duplicate that, and you can see I've tried that a few times here just to test it out, but it's now taken that Kahoot and copied it over into my own library. And by doing that, I now can edit this and change it. So even though someone has created this public Kahoot, I can go ahead here where it says continue editing. And now I'm in the edit screen. So if I wanted to change one of the multiple choice options, I could go ahead and do that. I could also change the image that they've put there just by choosing File and selecting a different image off my computer. I can also change whether I want this question to have points here or no points. And I can also adjust the time limit as low as 5 seconds up to 120 seconds. And I can change which of these answers is correct or incorrect. And I can also go ahead down here on the bottom left and go through each question individually. And I'd make any adjustments I would like to this pre-made Kahoot. I can also come over here to the right here where it says add a question. So if I wanted to continue this Kahoot and make it longer by adding additional questions, I could go ahead and say add a question. And it's going to give me the blank template here. So you'll notice when you add a question in the question box here, I can choose any question. Again, I can decide whether I want to assign points or not. If you're within the quiz feature, normally you do assign points. The students really enjoy that piece. And depending on what's in this question, I might decide to adjust that time and give them more or less time to respond. And down here, I can come up with 4 choices. I can also, you'll notice there's a little minus sign here. I can also take away choices. So I can have as few as 2 here and choose a correct one. You'll notice here to the left, in the top left, you have a choice of adding an image or a video. And I can actually just put the link from the YouTube video in here. And I can actually adjust the start and end time of the video. So if I might want to just show a piece of a video, whether it's start at 10 seconds and end at 15. Just a heads up though, if you are replaying this on an iPad, it doesn't allow you to use that start and stop, which means it's going to show the entire video. In that case, you'll want to make sure you choose an appropriate length video for that. And if I come back to image, once you choose on file here, you can just choose an image that perhaps you've saved off the internet somewhere. And I'm just not sure if I have any in here, but I could pick this, and it will just upload the chosen video. And once I've satisfied with that, I can either add more questions or I can say save and continue. And now it'll take me back out, and again, I'll see all the questions that are there, including the new one I've added. If I decide I want to change the order of those questions at this point, I can click on any of these and drag them and drop them into a different order. And when I'm happy with the order, again, I'll say save and continue. And now it's going to ask just to give the details about this. So because I'm now altered this, I'm going to actually republish this Kahoot. So you have the choice to either keep that public, which means it will add to the library of Kahoots for other educators, or I can keep it private if I don't want to share that. Again, here I usually keep this on a school setting, and you can choose the language that your Kahoot is in. Give a basic description here. I can drag this and adjust how difficult this Kahoot is. And here I could add any taglines. If I was going to make this public, I could add things to make it searchable that I think people might be looking for. So once I'm here, if I'm satisfied, I'm going to come over where it says save and continue. Or perhaps if you've just thought of something you wanted to change on the bottom left, you could go back and edit. So I'm going to say save and continue and say done. And now that Kahoot, if I come up to my library here, would be stored in my library. Okay, and you're going to notice that under my username here, my account, there's a little option here that says my results. And when you come in here, any of the Kahoots that I've launched in the past, it's going to store those results here. So I'm going to come just to this one here. You're going to notice you have kind of a couple of options here. So if I want to download the results of this Kahoot, because I want to save them, maybe I've used this as an assessment for learning piece or an assessment of learning piece, and I really want to kind of keep those and examine those a little deeper. If I go ahead and download those results, what it's going to do is it's going to open up those results into an Excel sheet for you. So you'll notice down the left, I have all my users. And again, if you're using this as an assessment of piece, you're really going to want to make sure that you can identify the students. So in that case, often I will have the students numbered off and have them come in as student 1, student 2, student 3. So I can really quickly identify who they are or use their proper initials, something that I can identify them specifically. You'll notice across the top here, it has each of the questions that I put into my Kahoot and each response that each student gave me. So I can then either save this as a file from Excel, or I can print it, and it will also stay saved into that area of the results. Just if you're trying to download that and you're having difficulty and it's not cooperating, I find sometimes that if I'm trying to do that through the Internet Explorer window, that it sometimes has trouble with that, but it works pretty seamlessly if you're operating through Safari or through the Chrome browser. So just a heads up if for some reason you're having trouble. The next button here is it's a link into a Google Drive. So if you have a personal Google Drive, you could send it there, but I don't like to send it there if my students have used their full name or entered any private information. So if I'm going to choose that option, I just make sure that all my questions don't reveal anything private about the student and that I've entered them as student 1, student 2, student 3, just so that that remains anonymous. You're going to notice there's a new feature they've added, which is interesting, and it's called Ghost Mode. And what you can do is actually launch this again. And what it does is it has the students then only playing against themselves, which means that if they've played this before, it's going to allow them to play it again and try to beat their own score. So the students really have some fun with that one. And if you're thinking assessment-wise, it's great for that assessment for learning piece, because they're able to retry the same questions and really gain some confidence with that, and in a fun way of trying to beat themselves from a later date. Also really interesting if you launch a Kahoot perhaps at the beginning of a topic or a unit, and at a later date you come back after you've done some information and knowledge sharing with your kids, and come back and see if their thinking has changed.
Okay, so hopefully you've been able to pick up a few tips on how you can get started with Kahoot. Keep in mind we're here every Tuesday to answer your questions on this topic or any topic, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great day.